I made this whole entire video, and my husband called me not once but twice and ruined the whole entire video because he just wanted to ask me, do I want pizza? Whatever. I wanted to make this video. It's more geared towards the significant others, spouses, family members around the woman that has PMDD. I've never talked about this in this perspective before. I'm currently going through it right now. And that's kind of what sparked this idea for me, because I had a moment this morning and yesterday with my husband that kind of made me inspired to make this video. So just to give a definition first, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, PMDD is a more intense and severe form of PMS. Now, everybody in the whole world pretty much knows what PMS is. They know that it's what happens before a woman starts her period. PMDD is called premenstrual dysphoria disorder, and you pretty much got the gist of it when you heard the word disorder and dysphoria. It is all of the PMS symptoms and then some, more intensified. You're probably thinking, you're telling me that she's going to go from yelling to like a dinosaur? Yeah, pretty much. And as well as there's uncontrollable things that she cannot stop. Like, you can be at a store with her and you're walking around the store, you're just grocery shopping. Nothing's really happening. Yeah, she'll just start crying. They're called crying jags. There's nothing that's really happening that's making her feel that way. But then again, there could be something that's triggering her, something nostalgic. It could be something, a song. It could be a video. It could be a picture that she sees, a coffee cup. You don't know what it is, but it's called crying jags. Or it could be nothing. Sometimes you just get this overwhelming need to cry. The other thing that happens too is you will have intense mood swings. She will be very moody. Now, usually with PMS, everybody knows that comes with the territory. But with PMDD, it's like the end of the world. Like, you could have, let's say, we'll use this for an example. Say she doesn't want the couch in the living room anymore, okay? Say, this is theoretical, but it's dysphoria disorder, so you don't know what you're doing half the time. Say she wants to take the couch and she wants to move it into the kitchen. Now, you look at her and you say, honey, I don't really think that's a good idea. Like, why would we put the couch in the kitchen? I mean, now you're just being logical. Like, you're saying, you're not saying anything bad per se. You're just being logical. In her mind, we're going to twist that around. The dysphoria disorder is telling her, you just don't want me to be happy. You really don't care about how I feel. You don't care about me at all. Boom, 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 boom. And it's making everything just build. And all of a sudden, now we're talking divorce. Or we're talking about breaking up. And you're standing there with a question mark over your head. And you didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong either. It's the hormones. They're making everything get twisted. And her sensitivity is worse. It's more heightened. Now, without PMDD in the picture, if you were to say that to her, it would probably be like, you just, can we just move the couch, please? I just want to see what it's going to look like. The end. Not with PMDD. It's a completely different story. The other problem is there is issues with anxiety. Some women have it, some women don't. But the women that have PMDD, 90% of the time they do. There's just a certain time of the month when all of a sudden you can just be standing in a grocery store and you can be talking to your friend and all of a sudden you just don't feel normal. You start to feel like the world is just closing in on you. You start to feel a little restless. You just feel like you need to move. You can be at home. You don't want to be home too much. You don't want to be sitting in the house too much. You just can't sit still. Your mind's constantly racing. You got these loopy thoughts that just keep coming over and over again. You can have a song that will repeat in your head nonstop, and it literally just keeps going. We're talking 10 o'clock at night, and that song's still playing in your head. You can have conversations that you had 3 years ago come back into your mind. Intrusive thoughts equals anxiety. And actually, those two go hand in hand together, and they're best friends. They go together, and they come in the picture at the same time. She may sleep a lot, where she is taking naps throughout the day, or she's just extremely lazy and doesn't want to do anything. You will have chronic fatigue. She may not hardly sleep at all. She might be up all hours of the night, not going to bed till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you don't know what the hell is going on. It's hormones. It's literally the rise and fall of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone all together. And when all these guys come in the room, there's so many things that are going to happen to your significant other. Things that you just really don't understand, but you would if you researched it. If you look it up and you read about it, you'll get it. The other problem is too, some women, I'm guilty of this, it is poor impulse control. We do things that are so out of character for us. One of the things that I used to have a really hard time with, I don't anymore because now I know it's PMDD. I used to attack my hair. I used to go from black to red to blonde to black to red to blonde within 2 weeks. I would constantly keep doing this. I would get rid of things that were extremely valuable to our family. I would just toss it out. After my period would start, a couple of days into my period, and once we're getting closer down back to the follicular phase, all of a sudden I start to realize, what the hell did I do? PMDD. She may constantly or say things that are out of character, like, maybe I shouldn't be alive anymore. Maybe I should just kill myself. Maybe if I just disappeared. That is the PMDD. I'm trying not to get emotional when I talk about this because I understand what it feels like to go through that. And I know there's women out there that are saying it to their spouses and their significant others, and you're looking at her like, why would you say that? She's not. It's the hormones. She genuinely feels this deep, dark despair that's inside of her, and it's all hormonally related. It's a dysregulatory hormonal disorder that's literally making her so depressed that she cannot deal with her life anymore. She doesn't know how to deal with it anymore. When she starts to talk like this, and you start to feel like it's starting to get pretty dark, you do everything you can to try to support her. Now, some women won't accept it. Some women are just like me. They're just like, no, nothing really, you can't really. This is when you start to come in with, do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to go to the park? I know it sounds like you're talking to a dog, but if you do want to go for a walk, do you want to go to the park? Do you want to go to your favorite restaurant? Do you want to go for a drive? Do you want to go for a car ride? Do you want to go run until you just can't run no more? Things like that. You support her in the best way that you possibly can. As soon as those words come out of her mouth, you do not look at her and say to her, you got a problem. Worst thing to ever say to a woman with PMDD is, you got a problem. If I had an editing system, I would put it right here. You just don't do it. She knows. And it is. And it's not necessary to say that. It's called support. It's called being there for her in those 2 weeks. Some women get lucky and they only have it for a week or so. Some women are like me and they have it for up to 2 weeks. And that is when it's called severe PMDD, when it's just dragging. As you get older too, as women get older, our hormones start to change because then we start to enter into perimenopause. Isn't it great? Isn't it great being a woman? But it's true. We start to enter into perimenopause. Perimenopause comes with all its own luggage. Now your periods are starting to act up. They're not showing up when they used to. They're not on time. You start to have ovulatory problems. You're not ovulating anymore. Things start to dry up. With all that being said and done, your hormones are also going out of whack because of that. Because now it's getting close to your periods being done and over with. And you're going to go on to the next phase of your life, which is menopause. PMDD is not something to shrug at. It's not something, and thankfully there are a lot of doctors nowadays and gynecologists, and they're really starting to learn about this, and they're starting to realize that it's an issue. There's actually a lot of people that are starting to wonder if women can get support for this, that they can get financial support or things like that to help them get through this horrible period that they go through. There's a lot of questions that are being raised. Why can't we do this for women? Why is there more awareness? Why are we not, really pushing this issue? The suicide rate goes up with women that have PMDD. There's been a lot of women that have killed themselves because they can't deal with it anymore. And, 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't hardly any research done on this. They thought that they were just insane. The doctors and people were just saying that they just needed therapy and they needed psychological help. Fast forward to now, it's not like that anymore. Now doctors are starting to really research women's hormones. They're starting to find out, I wonder if this is what this is. A lot of women end up in jail. They end up in prison. They do horrible things to their family. They do horrible things to their spouse. They cheat. They're more promiscuous, because it's like everything around you, and this is where the word dysphoria comes in that sentence. You're just not with your life. You're just not with it. Things are just not normal in that time period. You're just not yourself. And it causes you to act out of character. You start to just act very strange. And your people that are around you will start to notice it. When you do, check the calendar. Check her apps. Have her check her apps. She's probably going through PMDD. It's probably a PMDD week. And I wish that there was more knowledge and more support for women, like there is with bipolar disorder or, all the other mental disorders that are out there. And there's really not. They really don't have a lot of support. Basically, it's just the only support that we really ever get is being prescribed SSRIs like Prozac and Lexapro. Other than that, they say, you can go talk to a therapist, you can talk to a counselor, you can talk to people about it. The best thing that you can do is find a support system. You find people or find women out there that they go through it. And they do. I do. You're watching it. You're watching a woman right now that goes through it herself. I am currently going through it right now, which is why I'm making this video. Yesterday I cried all day. I started at noon and I didn't stop until about almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I cried for 4.5 hours straight. Today I'm still emotional. I'm still struggling. I've been downing water like it's going out of style because it's getting pretty close to my period about to start. I feel very fatigued today. I'm very chronically fatigued, but yet you don't sleep well at night. You can be tired all day long and go to bed and not sleep. If you do, it's broken. It's called broken sleep, where you're waking up every couple of hours. That's from the hormones as well. You're not alone. You're not by yourself. You're not insane. You're not going insane. You might feel like it, but you're not. There are thousands of women out there that struggle with this every single day. And the next time you're in a grocery store or you're in a doctor's office or you're out and about and you see a woman and she's just screaming and having a fit, and they call them Karens, or she's crying, or she's, acting out in a way you're like, wow, there might be a high chance that she has PMDD and she's going through it. It's that weak. Back in this, the Victorian days, back in the 17 and the 1800s, they would just take women and they would just not lock them up in insane asylums. And they would label women with all different kinds of psychological problems. They never knew, and they never, ever, suggested that it was from hormones. They didn't have the research back then. So a lot of women would get psychotherapy. And when psychotherapy would get involved, they would basically, I call it electrocution. They would just, some women even got lobotomies. A lot of women back then just killed themselves, because society was very cruel to them. And not much has changed now. Yes, we do have more medical help. We do have a lot more medical help than we did back then, and we do have a lot more therapeutical help now. But society is not kind to women when it comes to PMDD or PMS in general. it's always labeled as she's going through that time of the month and with the roll of the eye, or, you know. And that's why women like me are making these videos and we're talking about it more, because we want other women out there to know you are not by yourself. And we want the spouses and the significant others out there to know how serious this disorder actually is. I've had to have many conversations with my husband about it. I've had to have many conversations with my mother. My mother didn't even know what it was. My mom is, let me think for a minute. This is kind of hard. My dad's 67. What am I doing? I'm going the wrong way. Wow. 67, 66, 65, 64, 63, 62. Yeah, my mom. My mom is 61 years old. And she stopped her periods, I think about 5-6 years ago. My mom stayed fertile for a long time. She was really long time. But when my mom was in her 20s, 30s, and her 40s, my mom had all the classic symptoms of PMDD back then. But my mom was in the 90s, okay? There was no research on this stuff back in the... They didn't know what that was. They just thought, you know, it was PMS and other health issues. No, my mother had PMDD. And for 2 weeks out of a month, my mom was the worst person you wanted to be around. I did not like that time of month at all. Even her face would change. Her face would get darker. She just had this aura around her that was very, very gloomy. You just never knew what to say to her. She would sit in her chair. She would cry. She would isolate herself. She would never let us in the room. She never wanted us around. She would sit in her chair in the dark. She'd shut off all the lights in the house and she would just sit there in the dark. My mom drank a lot. She drank every single day of her life, secretly. My mom would get up at 5:30 in the morning and she would start drinking just to beat the symptoms. My mom was an alcoholic all the way up until she was in her late 40s. And the reason why was because she didn't know that she had PMDD and that she had hormonal issues. There wasn't enough research back then. Now, fortunately, my mom ended up getting help when she hit her mid-50s. My mom ended up going to her gynecologist and they diagnosed her with a hormonal issue and she got put on Lexapro. My mom took Lexapro for, I want to say, about close to 6 to 7 years she was on it. It did help her significantly. It did. But the other side of it was she always said that she felt like she just wasn't being her honest self. She always just felt like she was kind of being restrained. But at the same time, she was scared to stop taking it because she was afraid that her symptoms were going to come back. Of course, they didn't. She ended up stopping it about, I want to say about 1.5 years ago, she stopped taking Lexapro. But bottom line is this video, before I go off track with it, if your girlfriend, wife, whatever, has these symptoms that I listed in the beginning of the movie, there's a high chance she has PMDD. And it is not something to shrug off. 2 weeks out of a month, it's not something to just be like, whatever. It's not. She needs all the support she can get. And that's basically all I wanted to say. And that's all I wanted to talk about. But ladies with PMDD like me, drink your water. Stay hydrated because it's the best thing on the planet for you. It helps a lot. You will pee a lot, but it helps. Trust me. Washes out a lot of the hormones that are not necessary. Peace out, you guys. I hope to speak to y'all again soon. And hopefully I'll be able to do a mukbang here pretty soon. But thank you for watching my videos and thank you for subscribing.